Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to today's Green Resource Council webinar entitled 6 Smart Green Products That Also Improve Your Client's Safety and Ease. We're joined today by Rosemarie Rossetti, Ph.D. with the Universal Design Living Laboratory. And today's webinar will introduce 6 products that can be used in homes that are both green and universal design. We'll cover benefits of universal design and which products can be selected to make life easier for your clients that are also energy and water efficient. Our presenter, Rosemarie Rossetti, Ph.D., who's right there on the screen, will share with us some products used at their Universal Design Living Laboratory, the most ambitious national demonstration home and garden. This is the top-rated universal design home in North America, earning both a LEED Silver certification and an NGBS Gold rating from the Home Innovations Research Lab. Rosemarie speaks and consults with realtors, builders, remodelers, developers, architects, interior designers, and consumers that want to create inspired and livable homes. Her presentations and consulting help people integrate universal design and green building features and products. And she and her husband, Mark Letter, led the team that designed and built their own home, which is that nationally acclaimed Universal Design Living Laboratory I mentioned a moment ago, located in Columbus, Ohio. A big thank you to Rosemarie for taking time to join us today to present this Green Resource Council webinar, which will be about 30 minutes of presentation, followed by moderated question and answer. We have booked an hour for this presentation, so we may run a bit longer than that. If you do have a question at all during the presentation, we will be doing that moderated QA at the end, so please enter that question in either the chat box, where you can find an icon on the upper right-hand side of your screen, or the Q&A feature. Again, there's an icon on the upper right-hand side of your screen with that icon. I'll collect those questions, and we will get to as many as possible at the end of the presentation. We are recording today's webinar, so if you do miss it, it will be posted on greenresourcecouncil.org. But thank you to you all for joining us today, and thank you again to Rosemarie for joining us for this member benefit. We're so grateful to have you here, and take it away.
Thank you, Amanda. I am pleased to be here to help your members to build their practice. Not only will they build their practice, but they're going to learn about some special products that we put into our home that were both universal design and green. It's a fusion of both. You're looking at the home that I live in and work in, and that's where I'm speaking to you from today in Columbus, Ohio. The Universal Design Living Laboratory has a collection of what we could find as the best products for us that fulfilled both the green and universal design component. So as you're working with your clients who are remodeling or building, or as you're evaluating homes, you can start looking for these products to get the benefits of both. The cost is not a factor when you're looking at these products. Find products that will fulfill both needs. I wanted to give a little bit of a background since many of you don't know me. I use a wheelchair for mobility as a result of a spinal cord injury. On the screen is the bicycle trail that I was riding on June 13th of '98. It's been 18 years now since that bike ride, and the helmet that I was wearing that day. Suddenly, a 3.5-ton tree fell on top of me and crushed me, leaving me paralyzed instantly from the waist down. It was because of this injury that everything in my life changed and my business changed. And of course, coming home from the hospital for the first time in a wheelchair was a rude awakening. Later on, we did put on the electric porch lift, as you're seeing at the front door. The house was 2 stories. The carpet was too thick. Doorways had to be removed. Countertops were too tall. Cabinets, I couldn't reach the contents. The shower was inaccessible, and on and on. We tolerated that condition for a number of years until we found a solution, and that was to hire an architect in 2004 to create a national design team and to design and build our own home, so that we could use it for a bigger vision, for a bigger purpose, not just for Mark and I, my husband, but to help train, help educate, help be a catalyst for change, to bring people hope and show them a better way. Here's another photo of the house as it was taken in the fall of the year. I'd like to encourage you to go to our website after this webinar at udll.com. We have a wealth of resources for you, including a virtual tour of our home and a free report of all the universal design features room by room in our home. There's also lots of videos, the list of all the contributors. We had over 200 companies contribute products and services in order for us to build the home. It's a 3,500 square foot home. All the living space realistically is on the first floor. There is a clear story with a small loft upstairs served by the elevator. We also have a full basement. We have 4 bedrooms and 3.5 baths. So it serves as the office for myself, my husband, and our living space. You might recognize architecturally, it's a Frank Lloyd Wright-inspired prairie-style architecture. So if you're interested in learning more about the home, our website is there for you. As Amanda introduced me, you found that we are a very green home. In fact, we are LEED certified silver and gold certified on the National Green Building Standard program. We also have 3 national certifications on our universal design achievements, making us the top-rated home in North America on universal design. These are the 3 certifications we have earned for our designations. If you're not familiar with universal design, let me help you by framing it as a concept. If you could think of it as a framework or a concept to design spaces and products so it's usable by all people, not just people with disabilities like myself in a wheelchair, but to design it for the greater cause, to be totally inclusive design. On the screen is a photograph of Ron Mace. He was the architect at North Carolina State University who is credited by coining the term universal design. This was in the 1980s, way before the Americans with Disabilities Act that was signed in 1990. Ron Mace used a wheelchair for mobility due to polio as a child. And so we credit him and the team of experts that he put together to formulate the definition and the principles of universal design. Universal design, then, is not the ADA. These are minimum standards when you look at the ADA laws that only apply to commercial real estate, not to residential. So universal design goes way beyond what you would typically see in a required property that meets ADA qualifications. And you'll see soon what I have to show you in some of the rooms and some of the products that illustrate universal design. So the seminar focuses on 2 of the benefits. One is ease of use, the other is safety. So here are some of the safety features that I've identified within the home. And you probably have seen some of these features as you go into a home. You look at the threshold and think about what it would be like rolling into that home. Would it have to be a wheelie, or would it be a small threshold, a ½ inch or less? And as we look at other things like at least no step at one of the entrances to the home, and the grab bar certainly in the showering and bathing area, as well as by the toilets for safety. Some additional features I call ease of use, making life easier. So in our home, we have 4 different heights of countertops in our kitchen. We have lots of pull-out shelves and drawers throughout all of the cabinets. Our toilet seats are 17 inches from the floor height. There's a great shower bench in all of our showers so someone can sit if they'd like to. And I like the raised washer and dryer, so I don't have to use a reacher as I used to on my top-loading washer. And pretty typical these days on homes are lever handles on doors, and I think we're starting to see more lever handles on plumbing faucets and fixtures too. A new term for some of you, I don't know if you've heard of it before. The term is visitability. It's been around a long while, and it is an international term. It's not just common in here in the United States. In fact, we're finding countries like Australia are far, far more advanced in building homes that are visitable. Check this out. If you were to invite me to your home today, could I get into any of your entrances with my wheelchair? Could I get into the door? go down the hallway, and utilize a first floor bathroom if I needed to use it. So what you're seeing on the screen are the three main components making a house visitable. That's just the concept of if you have someone visiting you, they would at least have the option to get into your home and use the bathroom with dignity. So we're going to be using that term as we look at some research that was done last summer in Ohio. Surprisingly, when we did research with a group of realtors in Ohio and showed them pictures of visitable housing, they perceived these homes much more valuable. They actually said in terms of selling faster, 58% of the realtors said their homes were going to sell faster. It could have been a visitable doorway at the front door, or it could have been somewhere through the garage or the side, but they were shown pictures with a visitable front entrance in this research. They also then saw the three visitable features, and in their estimation, they thought the homes would sell up to $15,000 more because of the value that they brought to the new occupants. So keep that in mind. Visitable houses are much more valuable in terms of real dollars. The other thing that they said, that they would pick them more often than houses without these features. So when you're looking at visitability, it does add value to a home. When I was going for certification through LEED, I contacted the U.S. Green Building Council. I looked at the evaluation and the checklist that I had to complete, and I asked them, will I get any points for my universal design features and my visitability features that I'm including in my new home? And the answer was no. I'm not getting any new points towards my LEED certification. I argued the point with them back in 2008 when I met with them. I said, don't you see that sustainability is more than the environment? It's more than saving energy and water and the economics. Sustainability is also about the social sustainability. How could you realistically claim that my house was sustainable if it's not even accessible? If I can't get into the house, then it surely can't be sustainable. So I convinced them that they needed to add another couple of points for homes that had universal design and visitability. Since then, time has gone forward, and they're now using the version 4 LEED for Homes checklist. They're now giving 1 point for the category called Design for Adaptability. On the screen is an actual screenshot of the LEED for Homes version 4 checklist, and you can see how it is in the credit innovation section that you can earn up to 5 points, and it's under the option of pilot, Design for Adaptability. So indeed, someone building a home using LEED score sheets could get 1 point for building a home with adaptable features. I argue it should be a lot more points. However, that's my argument for today. Today's program is going to feature on these 6 products. We're going to go through a tour of my home virtually so I can show you these products in place. I'm also going to reveal the manufacturer of these products, realizing these were contributors to our home. Indeed, they either gave us the products or gave us a discount, and in some cases even installed the products. There are many, many more products and manufacturers out there that contain green and universal design features, but I'm going to be at least letting you know of the manufacturers that we selected. First is the front entrance. It is the Provia front door. As you look at this door, you might think it is a total wood door, but in fact it is fiberglass, making it much more energy efficient. The door is Energy Star rated. The universal design component, if you look at the left side, we did a little close-up of that door threshold, making it very smooth. You're also seeing there is no step at that entrance. It's a gentle pathway of a 1 in 20 slope coming into that 36-inch wide door. Looking at that door handle, you can see it is a lever handle, making that easier. Something you might not have noticed. Take a look at the front door, the section of it, the art glass. What we did was met with Provia and asked them to design it with peepholes of various heights so that standing or sitting inside the home and looking out onto the front porch, we could see who was on the other side of that door for security purposes. Now, the tall circle serves as a peephole for my husband, Mark, who stands at 6'4". The circle in the center is more at my eye level. As I am seated in my wheelchair, I am 4'2". Now, if you can look at the very bottom of the door, there's two smaller circles. Those are for our cat as she looks out the door at the birds on the front porch. So this is the first product with green and universal design features at our front entrance. As we look at other doors throughout the house, you can see that we have used the hardware from M-Tech throughout the rest of the house. And as you're pricing door handles, the door knobs versus the lever handles are of comparable prices. So why not use a more universal design, making it usable by people with arthritis, with paralysis, with young children, or if you're carrying things in your hand and can't utilize your actual fingers to open a door, you could use your elbows on these lever handles, making them much more usable. Here is a shot from the porch into the main entrance of the front door. This was taken on our virtual tour. Anyone that wants to go through this house room by room, this is an actual screenshot of our virtual tour that was done thanks to Google, and it is at udll.com. You can follow the pathway and the numbers throughout the tour if you'd like to. I wanted to illustrate on this slide the expanse of hardwood flooring. This is our product number 2. Our hardwood flooring makes it very easy to roll on. We're hard surface flooring throughout the house, either hardwood, which is hickory here, or porcelain tile in the showers. And again, illustrating the 36-inch wide door, not only at the front door, but all the interior doors also. So as we look at universal design flooring options, I put on the screen several options that could be used as long as you can roll a walker and a wheelchair easily. I have found it very difficult on carpet. That's my last resort. There are still people who insist they want carpet in their home. I still don't understand that. It's not as healthy in terms of air quality. It's not as easy to roll on, but if they must, they need a very low pile, so it's very easy to roll on with a very thin pad underneath. But the other flooring options also are very easy for people to roll on, making them a good universal design choice. Now, going on the green flooring side, I have indicated on the screen some options for you. The green flooring would be made of recycled materials or made from wool, which is a recycled material from sheep. In our case, we use marmoleum, which was a very green product, and that's in our lower level in our classroom in the full basement. It's made from linseed oil. You could use cork. That's a renewable resource from the bark of the cork oak, or a grass is also available. The bamboo grass is also in the hardwood flooring category, as is eucalyptus or other hardwoods that come from a sustainable forest. So there's some other flooring options that are green. I took a photo of the installer when he was installing our hardwood. We put a thin layer of rubber. It's only 4 millimeters thick. It's recycled automobile tires from KN rubber. That helps make the flooring softer to walk on, easier on your joints, and also quieter. The hardwood floor is a hardwood from Mannington, and it is the hickory, a beautiful floor that is held up very well with a nice finish on it. Here's another view coming from the master bedroom into the master bathroom, showing the hardwood floor and the transition. The point I want to make here, and look at it closely, look at that transition between the hardwood and the porcelain tile. It's absolutely smooth. The installers did an excellent job making there be no bump at all. I just roll very level across that. You'll also notice the use of pocket doors in these these two areas, entering the bathroom and leaving that bathroom. So they slide out of the wall, saving some square footage that would be valuable in both of those rooms. So 36-inch wide pocket doors are strategically placed through the house. As we look at this photo, I put that in. No, it's not Garfield on a bench here. This is our cat. Our cat oftentimes wants a drink and thinks this is a drinking bowl. Obviously, it's not a very comfortable height for a cat's watering dish, but our cat figures it out. I illustrate this photo. This is in our toileting area in the master bathroom to showcase the comfort height toilet. The comfort height toilet is, in this case, 17.5 inches from the floor to the top of the toilet seat, making it so much easier for people to do that transfer. From my wheelchair, I hold onto the grab bar and a gentle hop, and I'm right there on that toilet. People of all abilities are finding that taller toilet is a lot easier for people rather than having to stoop so low to get off and on. All of the toilets in our home are from Kohler. They are all comfort height. They were installed with the center of the toilet ring 18 inches from the sidewall so that we could position the grab bars appropriately on the side wall. Some of them are dual flush so that they save a lot of water. And throughout the house, we have different models. So we either are using 1.1 or 1.28 gallons per flush. So they're all WaterSense certified. In terms of when you're looking for a toilet, look for that label for WaterSense to make sure that it's using less water and being very efficient. Our next product is the windows of the home. Our biggest contributor was Marvin Windows and Doors, supplying one of their top-rated windows. It's universal design. If you look on the left-hand lower section of the window, you see the window crank, making these casement windows very easy to operate. On the right side, you can see the locking mechanism. The lever is reachable from a seated position. That's why we chose Marvin, because we could lock the window from a seated position and the ease of use of that crank handle, making casements our choice. Marvin also is a very green product. They have a low E coating, keeping the ultraviolet rays out of the home. There's 2 panes of glass with argon gas in between the layers, again making them energy efficient, and they are Energy Star. This illustration came from Marvin. I thought it did a good job showing in green the double pane window, showing the exterior pane on the left and the interior pane on the inside of the home. What we're trying to do is insulate our house so that the room heat stays in and the outside heat stays out. And so I thought this graphic did a great job indicating that we're trying to keep our house as energy efficient as possible, keeping the solar heat away. We also have 6-foot overhangs, if you've noticed, on the opening slide of our home. So we're also keeping the sun out of our home in the wintertime. So I think we have to look at the green components of our windows more detail. And here I've given you a table with our U factors. In fact, how well the windows keep heat inside. And we're looking at the column with the U factor. The lower number is better. So our casement windows had a U factor of 0.31. We have a gigantic picture window in our great room. That U factor was even greater. And then our exterior doors that had windows on it had a factor of 0.35. On the other side of the column on the extreme right is our solar heat gain coefficient for these Marvin windows, and that's the radiation admitted through the window. So energy efficiency was a big component so that we save on our electric bills in the summer and our gas bills in the winter time. The next feature is the shower head. This is the master shower where I shower with a built-in seat and the soap niches and the chair that's adjustable in height. But as we look at that shower nozzle, it is on a bar that is adjustable in height. It has a 6-foot hose. So it is a wonderful connection. If you're looking for something universal design in green as you're remodeling or building a new home, why not put in these adjustable height shower heads with the hose? They're much more appropriate so that everyone has that advantage to be able to adjust it to their height, no matter if they're a small child or a tall man like my husband who's 6'4". We have much more flexibility as we select an adjustable height shower head with the 6-foot hose. Now, the universal design feature was easy to dominate. Now let's look at the green features of those shower heads. We're looking for less than 2 gallons of water flowing out of the shower head each minute. And in fact, ours were 1.75 from Kohler. So look for that label for water sense, meeting the EPA criteria and using less water. So in essence, now we have the shower head as green and universal design. Our next feature is our landscape pavers. We have over 2,000 square feet of landscape pavers throughout the home, primarily in the back landscape. It's a multiple tier patio with an upper tier going from the lower tier on a 1 in 20 slope over the bridge that you're seeing there that is actually a 4-tiered waterfall, which is a rainwater harvesting system. All the pavers are from Redding Rock, a company in Cincinnati. We selected them because they didn't cause vibration on my wheelchair, which would transfer into vibrating into my legs, causing my legs and feet to spasm. We rolled on a sample surface and found it very smooth, and that's why we selected them. I didn't want a surface that would cause any vibration. I didn't want a surface that people would slip on should it be somewhat wet. And so this particular paver actually received the ADA compliance because the slip-resistant static coefficient of friction was only 0.8, making this easier for people who are ambulatory using assisted devices like canes and walkers, so they're not likely to slip. So I like this product for both reasons. Now on the green side, it's permeable, so when it rains, the water goes right through it. And some pavers on the market are actually made with recycled materials. So what we have as a concluding slide, since we've seen the 6 fixtures products, I would like to compare now the value of these products in terms of what you're spending for the green and universal design combo products. So if you're going to your local box store or you're going to other suppliers, take a look at products that might not have the water sense label compared to those who do. Look at the toilet seats that have the comfort height versus the toilet seats that don't. And you will find the price comparison of products with both green and universal design surprisingly similar, if not identical. So it behooves you to pick products that have those both benefits. Over the long term, you're keeping these products in the home for years and decades to come. And when you look at the benefits to the occupants in the long run, I mean, it's a no-brainer here. Or you're providing more independence and safety and ease of use and quality of life by having these universal design features in the home. And they're also then saving energy or saving water by having the green features. So it's an easy discussion to have with the homeowner, with the builder, to look for products that have both green and universal design. I put this in with my husband, Mark, just to remind you to have a different perspective as you're looking at the world from a different pair of lenses, to hopefully say that this last 30 minutes has given you another view as you go into your new listing or as you go into the new model home. If you have conversations with builders and remodelers, as you go into your local big box store, take a look and see if you can find products that would appropriately match green and universal design. I speak about this all over the country and would love to have an opportunity to come wherever you are where there is a large gathering in terms of your association to bring me in or your brokerage firm bringing me in. I'd be happy to entertain putting a custom program together to share what I know about universal design and green building. My website for my business is rosemariespeaks.com, so feel free to check that out. We are inviting you to our tour of our home from wherever you are. As soon as you click off of this webinar, why don't you jump on udll.com. I'm sure you're curious to take the virtual tour or the video tour. If you need to get in touch with me, it's simple, rosemarie@udll.com. My phone number is there on the screen. I'd be happy to entertain more discussion with you and answer your questions. And we've left some time today. Amanda and I wanted to make sure that this program was customized just for you. So if you do have a question, you can see there is a box there. We would love to entertain any questions from you so that we could make this program customized and help you to learn. So with that, a reminder, we have a free report at our website. It's a great companion if you're taking the virtual tour. All you do is go to udll.com, put in your email address and name, and you will instantly get an email from me with a download of the universal design features room by room in our home. It's a huge resource for you. That's, again, what our virtual tour looks like. You simply use your mouse and go right into the front door, and you can click as you want to go through any passageway. You can zoom in and zoom out. You can go to the basement. You can go outside. It's pretty freaky. You can actually read the labels on the Campbell's soup cans in the pantry. It's an amazing virtual tour that is available to you anytime on the Internet. So, Amanda, let's see if we have any questions. We have come to that point in time. What do you have from the audience that they would like to comment about or ask a question?
Oops, can you hear me?
Yes.
My apologies, I was just talking to myself. I wanted to kick off the Q&A first with a reminder. Please submit those questions. I see many of you are in that Q&A feature. But Rosemary, as we were doing planning, you had mentioned your husband's interest and involvement in sustainable building. And during the webinar, you spoke about community as a sustainable development principle. And I was just wondering if you had any comments or additional items of note regarding the idea of this total life cycle of the home and reducing the need to move or renovate another home in the future because of your integration.
That's our intent. We would love to encourage more people to think about the design of homes so that we can live in place from birth to death. I know it's a very different concept, but it's one that needs to be discussed among the housing and building and design community to say, why are we not building things to make it easier for people to stay in their homes throughout their lifetime? It really solves an insurance problem we have. As people don't have the appropriate insurance to find an assisted living or nursing facility that's so much less costly if you can stay in your home with maybe part-time assistants or family members taking some initiatives to care for you. So there's a lot of discussion on the term aging in place or living in place, better design homes so that we can have fewer accidents, we can have fewer losses, we can accommodate multiple generations of home occupants at the same time, or just passing the home on from generation to generation, and finding that it's much more quality of life by staying in the home for your lifetime.
Right, right. Great, thank you. I do have a question from Alan that I'd like to toss your way. You had mentioned the increase in the value of a home, with universal design features being as much as $15,000 more than a traditional home. But Alan's commenting, similar to the Greenfield, a lot of these products seem to be higher in cost than their alternatives. Do you have an idea of the breakdown of additional cost to integrate these features?
We've been doing programs for the remodeling industry showcasing that it really is not that much more costly to put in universal design features. And for example, if we look at a 36-inch wide door compared to a 28-inch door, when you look at the cost to buy doors, you might be spending from $5 to $20 more per door. That's nothing in comparison to the whole cost of the house. When you look at the benefit of having access to that room and being able to use the bathroom and not being able to use the bathroom because the door was too narrow. And then we look at the cost of remodeling. If you had a door that was too narrow, to remodel it is going to be $500 to $1,000 to fix the problem. And so, yes, we could point at some of the features saying maybe they're a little bit more expensive, but I don't, as a general concept, believe that I can make this universal statement that because we put universal design features and products in our home, that drove up the cost of this house. Granted, putting an elevator in wasn't an immense expense, but there was no other workable solution so I could get into the lower level and up into the loft area. That was a huge expense for that elevator. But looking at now, I have full access to 100% of my home versus only 50% of the home, and knowing that the lower level is where I hold my classes, it was an easy decision to make. So if anyone else wants to make some comparisons of products that they feel have a higher price tag because they're universal design, I'd be glad to comment about those.
Thank you, and I know the conversation is always thriving in regards to increased product cost and payback in the green industry. So I'm not sure if this is parallel whatsoever, but if in your home's case, oftentimes the amount of extra investment for particular green products or building materials can be about between 7 and 9% higher. Oftentimes that's paid off in the 12 to 15% range over time. And I would assume that the same thing with your front door example, it requires less maintenance, it requires fewer renovations or upgrades through the years, so the total life cost of the home would be reduced. To that note, I suppose, do you know of any government financing options or perhaps utility rebates or incentives that would be available for such upgrades?
There is no utility related upgrades for universal design, but each community may have something for the green component. There are some legislation initiatives around the country. We saw one in the state of Virginia that was giving money back to the buyer and to the builder that was putting in some of these visitability features. The state of Ohio has tried to put some legislation together also for that very purpose, to have some rebates, some state funding, so that people who were building new homes and put some of these features in could qualify for up to $5,000 or maybe even some tax abatements. There's a lot of different communities looking at universal design incentives. And there's a lot of communities in this country that have ordinances requiring visitable homes be built, so that any new home must be visitable in a lot of the different communities in this country. And a resource to go to for visitability is the website concretechange.org. Concretechange.org, you'll see the communities around the country that have ordinances requiring builders to put these visitable features together. And we have looked at that data on one of the cities that put in 4,000 new homes with a letter from the city official saying it costs no more to build these homes because of the no-step entrance and the ability to use the bathroom on the first floor. There was no additional cost.
So is this a new construction home when you built it, or was it a tear down or remodel?
Ours was totally new. It was a cow pasture when we bought the lot, and it took 32 months to build it. We've now lived here for 4 years. It was a slow process. Mark and I have never built a home, and we'll never build another one. We had construction managers we hired. We had an architect. We had a huge interior design team, and we had lots of contributors to get on board. So that was a long process to get these contributors to come on board to sponsor the home. And we have lots and lots of volunteers that helped us. In fact, the landscape was all put in by volunteers. The landscape went in after we moved in, and so did the finishing in the basement. So that was another 2-year construction. A very slow process because our first home and all of the volunteers we had to acquire and all of the sponsors in order to make this financially feasible. We could never have done this without our sponsors.
Interesting. So what about the MLS? I have Mariana and Peggy both asking about, is there a way to search for universal design in the MLS, or perhaps visitability? Is there a way to qualify this so that it would be able to be searched for in MLSs around the country?
That's my dream. I would love to see a national database, and I know NAR has been working on that initiative with the Realtors Property Resource and with Project Upstream. And so as those become available, I would love to see a searchable database. Now, I can only speak for Columbus, Ohio, because I asked our MLS, is this a searchable feature? Right. And the accessible home is a searchable feature in the Columbus MLS. So you can check a box that says accessible, and then it has other features that you check. So it might say a no-step entrance at the front. And it's got these various components that you can check, which is helpful and searchable. But the best part is they have this big box that's open for you to put anything you want into that box to describe the features, and you have an unlimited amount of photographs that you can tie to that listing showing the universal design pieces. So currently that's how Columbus is doing it. They're just checking the box accessible home and then checking the pieces that identify it as accessible and then handwriting or typing what are the special features. So if it has pocket doors, if it has comfort height toilets, if it has multiple height counters in the kitchen, they'll be able to narrate that and show pictures of it.
Interesting. Okay, and I think, you know, if that, I'd be curious to know if anybody has information whether accessible home is a RETS field in the MLS or if that's a Columbus-specific field. If you have that information, shoot me a comment. I'd be curious to hear. As far as the additional features go, I mean, that's a great way to integrate and showcase or market a listing that has both green features and universal design features. You know, your example about landscaping, I think, is a phenomenal one. That is something that can be listed and searchable in the MLS and may provide a catalyst for a lot of agents who are searching through the MLS to hone in on a search and segment types of homes to include the features they're looking for. So let's see, I have a couple questions here about future products. I mean, clearly you built this home from scratch. You have a lot of integration with new technologies, new green technologies that help, you know, benefit how you live. Do you have any additional information on future products or projects out there to upgrade a current efficient home, or perhaps new technologies that would impact the universal design space?
I think the trend is on the curbless showers. We're finding the millennials love them. It looks so modern and so open. It doesn't disjoint the shower from the rest of the bathroom. So the millennials are seeing homes with these large curbless showers as a great feature. And we're seeing them as a wonderful safety feature because anyone can get in there without tripping, and anyone who's using a wheeled vehicle in terms of a scooter or power wheelchair or manual wheelchair or walker has full access. So we're pleasantly surprised that that trend is really hitting the custom home market and also started to hit the production home market. And it's now hitting the apartment market. So I am thrilled that the trend for curbless showers finally has come to America. It came from Europe, and it's now trendy to have. It does not stigmatize a house as, oh, it was designed for a person with a disability. No, it was designed as a beautiful entrance. They don't need to have shower doors. They don't need to have curtains. You don't have to put the grab bars in right away, but you do have to reinforce those walls so that you can put them in later as the client agrees to put them in. We call them balance bars. My husband loves his balance bar at his showering station. He washes his feet, and he just appreciates. He's not going to slip. He's not going to fall. We've had over 2,000 people touring our home, and that just gets a lot of compliments. They just say, oh, my gosh, what a shower. And we've had pregnant women here saying, I love that bar. I wish I had one of those. And another woman might say, oh, I love that seat. Then when I'm shaving my legs, I can sit down and be safe. So there's a lot of benefit from a lot of people as they look at those curbless showers.
Very interesting. And I guess on the topic of showers, when you guys were building everything and your husband with his background in green, what sort of systems did you install? What kind of water heater do you use? What sort of HVAC do you have? What's the energy efficient component look like?
Oh, we're very energy efficient, and our blower door test proved it. It was an amazing insulated house, but our water is with a tankless system. We have 2 tankless systems, and we have a circulating hot water system throughout the house so that anytime you turn a faucet on, within 10 seconds, that water is hot. So the pump is constantly pumping. We also have motion sensors in the bathroom, so it knows that someone has come into the bathroom and activates the pump, saying, you know, eventually that person's going to need hot water who's in here. So making that very energy efficient by not wasting water and by not heating a big tank of water. So that's our hot water system. We also have a very energy efficient HVAC system. It's 95% efficient. We also have the dehumidification, which we really appreciate right now. It's a very humid time here in Columbus, so we keep this house very comfortable. We set it at 78 degrees for energy efficiency with our air conditioning, and if we get that humidity out, we're very comfortable at 78 degrees. So we have a typical natural gas furnace. We have 2 units serving the house in different zones. So the zone in the great room kitchen is separate from the zone of the 4-bedroom office bathroom complex.
And that's a great feature. That's a wonderful way to improve efficiency. So have you said the square footage on your house is 3,000, 3,500?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know any universal design homes, or have you experienced anything in the 2,500 or smaller square foot range? Is size an issue?
There is no directory for universal design, so I would guess there would be one out there somewhere. There's a lot of builders building them, so right. They're out there. Each community is going to have that strict conversation with people as they're building condos, as they're building apartments. You know, what efforts are being made to include universal design? Are the buyers starting to become aware of it as they are downsizing? I think they are. I think there's a huge downsizing market that is getting educated, and they're going to start asking for curbless showers and wider entrances, and entrances especially from the garage into the home with a very smartly designed entrance with no step. They're getting wise, and they're going to start asking for these features.
Right. I'm going to ask you this next question, but I'm wondering if you could share your email, because I have a couple of folks asking for your direct contact information, or if there's another slide that you have.
let me just go back to that slide. That'll be
That'd
easy.
be great.
Okay.
And as you're doing that, I'll ask you about building codes. With all the consideration and planning and development that you did in product selection and trials, is there any conversation or anything in particular that is already integrated in the building codes? One question is referring to maybe those levered door handles are part of a code.
In our area, no, but each of you are going to have different requirements, and I can't speak for the country. The one that we were worried about the most was a no-step entrance from the garage by pouring the concrete at a very gentle slope, and all the entrances, there's 3 entrances from the garage into the house. We have two-car garages, so a 4-car garage combined, and everyone was saying, isn't that going to be a problem because they don't want carbon monoxide gas in the house? That's why a garage floor is lower and there's steps into the house. So what our architect did is plan to have exhaust fans in the ceiling in both garages. So they're just little bathroom exhaust fans that run all the time. And then we put the carbon monoxide monitor on the inside door right at the pantry, so that should there be a carbon monoxide entry, the alarm's going to forward a warning, but that's never happened. We thought our code people were going to have a fit, but they did not at all. We were pleasantly surprised that we had achieved what we needed by you know, having the design that we're going to vent all the air possible out of these garages 24 hours a day. And everyone was amazed and said, go ahead and do it.
That's great. And then just as a final wrap-up here, final thoughts, I suppose, and if anybody has additional questions, now would be the time to shoot them my way. But we had talked a little bit about your experience. You had an architect come in and sort of help you with the layout and the features. If there's somebody if a realtor is working with a client who is either looking to integrate universal design features or maybe considering a renovation on an existing property, how would they go about finding a professional who's knowledgeable about these?
Well, there's a brand new one that's coming out. I just heard about it. In fact, I'm going to be certified September the 16th. We're actually hosting the class here in the home. We were so excited about it. But there's a certified living in place professional now. And so they've only had 8 classes all around the country. I think ours is going to be probably one of the next one. So that's a new designation for builders, remodelers, occupational therapists. There's a whole continuum of people that are taking this class. So it's the Certified Living in Place Professional. I'm sure you can search Google and find it. There's been around a long time through the National Association of Home Builders, the Certified Aging in Place Specialist, CAPS, C-A-P-S. So this is another designation that remodelers and builders often have. In addition, the National Association of the Remodeling Industry has another universal design component to them. And so you can contact your NARI organization and find out if there is someone certified in universal design in your community. You can go to the NAHB website, nahb.org, and there is a searchable database of people who have the CAPS certification. So those are 3 that I'm aware of that could be helpful.
Okay. And I see I missed a question here. This one's from Chuck regarding basements. Is there a design, would there be an ability to design an interior ramp to get from a main level to a basement in the event of a weather emergency or something that requires movement without an elevator?
There are lots of ways besides elevators to get to a lower level. Occasionally there could be a ramping solution, but that would be really steep. It would have to be a power wheelchair. It could not be a manual. There are lots of ways to put in stair lifts that are less costly than a full elevator, but you've got to have the wider staircase and not too many turns on that staircase to make that feasible. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult for the design and installation. But chair lifts are another option. We chose not to do that because I still need room for people coming up and down the stairs. Some of those platform lifts are just too big and bulky. I would need, if I only went with a stair lift, I'd have to have a wheelchair at the top on the first floor, the main floor, and another wheelchair at the basement level. So I'd always have to have two of them. And so that just didn't make any sense. Plus, I could never bring any cargo with me in terms of things I wanted to bring from the basement upstairs, or likewise, I'm bringing something into the house and I want to take it in the basement. Well, you can't do that on a platform lift or a stair lift. You can only do that if you have an elevator. So we decided that was the best investment for us.
Interesting. And what final words of wisdom would you have for realtors as they're buying and as they're working with buyers and sellers on properties over the coming years?
On the screen right now, I think says it all. I made this fortune cookie for your attendees today. I think they're going to sell faster when you do these listings and put things in your MLS documents. We already saw that they're going to sell for more money, and also research is saying they're selling about 8 days faster. But in this market, things are selling within hours, so you're at a point in time in history where things are selling fast anyway. At least in our Columbus community, it's an amazing success story for homes on the market are really flying into the new owners quickly. So I think this just becomes another insurance for you as you become a specialist in universal design and green, that you're the go-to specialist as a real estate professional, and people will flock to you, word of mouth, or your advertising can start to write copy that this is one of your areas of expertise.
That's a wonderful point. And if I could just ask you to toss up that email contact information slide one more time for me, please. I apologize.
That's fine. I'll get back to that.
I think people do sometimes overlook the amount of overlap that there is between universal design and sustainability, especially when you're looking at the holistic approach of sustainable development. The whole concept is to reduce use, reduce resources, reduce footprint, and connect to the things that you need and the places you want to go. And universal design really encompasses all of those things. And like I mentioned before, allows you to stay in one location longer and reduces the need to have to downsize or relocate, or you know, a life event becomes less of a life event if you have these features integrated that allow you to stay in one place. So I do appreciate your time today, Rosemary. I appreciate you sharing your wisdom with us, and look forward to hopefully connecting some of our agents with you. And if there are additional questions, there's her contact information, phone number, email address. And again, visit that website, udll.com. Take a tour. It's a beautiful home. And again, we appreciate all your insight and your experience and the inspiration. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for the pleasure of being here today, Amanda.
Take care.